Hello everyone, today I'd like to make a video for people that are very new to guns, and I'd like to explain why it is very harmful for your old 22 rimfire guns to dry fire them, and I want to show you a way how you can safely decock the firearm without damaging it through dry fire. So first it is important that you understand how a rimfire gun works. So for that purpose I'm going to disassemble this gun now. This is a Smith & Wesson Model 41, which was proof marked in 1964, so it is at least 51 or more years old. Fantastic gun for target shooting, any types of more dynamic type of shooting practices. This is a pure sporting, maybe hunting gun. And it is a lot of fun to shoot, and I want to keep this firearm in this good condition, and treating it well is one aspect of that. So I'm taking out the magazine, which is empty. I'm pulling back the slide, and I'm looking that the chamber is empty. You can see there is no brass in that chamber. I'm pulling down the trigger guard, which releases the big, heavy machine steel barrel piece. You know, the barrel is in here, and that's the piece the barrel sits in. And now I can also take out the slide with the firing pin in here. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but there is the pin that later strikes the rim of the cartridge. And down in this piece is your hammer. This is what strikes the back of the firing pin in here, which then protrudes, I don't know, out of here. And you know, this is an empty shell. Usually there would be a bullet in there. And this will sit in here. And if I put this in the right way, you know, you can see on this spent case, you have that little indentation up there. If I can show this in the camera a little bit more closely, if I get some light on it. Yeah, I think this is good. And that's where the striker strikes, the firing pin strikes the cartridge and ignites the priming compound in the rim of the cartridge, which makes it fire, obviously. And it sits on that metal piece there above the barrel, you know, the outside of the chamber. And if you don't have a cartridge in there, what will happen is the firing pin will hit that steel up there, and it's first of all going to damage the tip of the firing pin, and it's also going to indent this piece of steel. And what can happen, if you ever used a center punch on steel or something like that, is, you know, you will start to forge it down, and it will bulge out down into the chamber, and it will make the bullets not go inside anymore. You know, this goes in really nicely, but if you try to force a cartridge in there when, you know, you forged a little, you know, protrusion in there, you know, you're going to have jams, and it's going to be job of a gunsmith to fix your gun. And, you know, with a gun which is very nice and very old, I don't want this to happen. So, why would you want to decock a firearm, and what is decocking a firearm? You know, this has a magazine disconnect, so I have to insert the magazine to make it fire. So this is the hammer. And right now this is in the cocked position because I pulled back the slide. If I press the trigger, it's releasing the hammer. And this hammer would now strike on the back of the firing pin and make the gun fire. Whenever this is in this position and you want to store the gun, or you want to transport the gun to the range or to your gunsmith, you don't want your gun to be cocked all the time. You want it to be decocked, you know, all the springs to be relaxed and your gun to be safe. And because this is an internal hammer and this gun does not have a safe decocker like a 6-hour pistol would have, you would have to dry fire it in order to decock it, unless you know how to, and this would damage your gun, unless you know how to dry fire it, quote unquote, without damaging it. So I'll reassemble this gun and show you how that works. On more recently made rimfire guns, the tolerances are usually so tight that the firing pin is going to stop just a hair shy of that steel face of the chamber. So the manufacturers say it's safe to dry fire them unless you do excessive dry fire. And excessive dry fire, if you sit all day long there clicking the trigger, is going to damage any type of gun, even Glock firearms, where the dry firing is part of the disassembly process. If you sit there all day long and dry fire it, it's going to damage the firing pin, because it gets that shock every time that's not cushioned by the case, by the primer or by the rim of the cartridge in a rimfire gun. So on this old one you should avoid it by any costs unless it's really absolutely necessary. But how you can decock it without, obviously the gun must be empty, you have to safety check it first. And now the gun is in battery, if there was a cartridge in there it would fire. And now the gun is out of battery, and now it does not fire. But if you close it down more and more and more, and you keep pressing the trigger, at some point, when it's still not fully in battery, it's going to click. That's like a millimeter of space here, which is like 1/32 of an inch, I think. And now if it makes click, you can feel the slide rocking forwards, but the firing pin is not directly hitting that piece of steel with full force. So, it's not going to hammer into that and, get damaged, bend, break, whatever, and it's not going to forge in the face of your chamber. Of course, this is also not something you want to be doing the entire evening, watching some sort of movie, click, click, click. At some point that's probably not going to be good for your gun either. But, if you want to, if you're done shooting, you safety check the firearm and you want to put it into your range bag, hold it in a safe direction, of course make sure it's clear, hold it in a safe direction and keep closing it until it clicks. And now the gun is decocked and you can store it away. I hope this video was helpful to you guys, and have fun shooting, be safe with your firearms, and see you in the next video. Bye!